When you're down, out, and desperate. Chapter 1. When things get low. Being down and out. By the grace of God, there go I. Act like you belong and most people assume you do. Mind your own business. If you're desperate, volunteer to help poor people overseas. The reasoning is that as long as you're in Canada or America, you're not desperate because there are lots of charities that will feed you, clothe you, and offer you a bed to sleep in. The Salvation Army and Unshackled.org not only take care of your physical needs, they give you training and work. Some people get lucky but, for the most part, the real world is brutal. TV shows you the 1% of big-time success stories and make it look easy, but they don't show the other 99% of failures. Hollywood is not the land of dreams, it's the land of broken dreams. For every actor that makes it as a movie star, at least 5,000 people who want to be movie stars don't. When you put yourself out there trying for anything, be it an actor, a musician, a new business, a new career, etc., something can always happen that could be beyond your control, or it could be that you're not cut out for that line of work, so you have to adjust and change. But in the process of discovering this, you used up all your savings and now don't have any money left. It could happen to anyone. You lose a good paying job you had for the last 10 years, so because you can't find a new job right away, you get a little more depressed every day until you're so depressed that you get mentally ill and agoraphobic. You can't even face people anymore. 6 months later, your money is starting to run out. You can't go begging to your relatives because you have too much pride, so you end up homeless on the street. Or maybe it's booze, drugs, a broken marriage, or you're antisocial or a hermit in nature. This is the first lesson about homeless people or people living on the street. Granted, some are mentally ill, but most are just like you are now. Some are drunks or druggies, but they came from a middle-class home just like you were raised in. Some have a medical illness. Some were architects and business executives but are now unemployable because they're either too old, the field is extremely competitive, or the field has experienced a downturn. Don't assume that street people have a lower mentality than you. Most don't. They might look dirty because they don't have a shower they can take anytime they want. At the age of 50, you might lose your job, your company might burn down, you might get multiple sclerosis. You don't know. You could be thrust onto the street by life's circumstances. If you do, you will have to survive. The first thing you do is don't stick out. Don't look too healthy or talk too wise. Try to find a good Christian homeless shelter that just won't take you in for the night, but one that will take you in for as long as it takes to get back on your feet, as long as you follow their rules. There is a big one in Los Angeles run by the Barnett family. I believe it's called the Dream Center or something like that. There's a good one in Chicago run by the Unshackled people, Unshackled.org. They don't care where you're from. If you go there, they will help you rebuild your life, not just give you a place to stay for a while. Most shelters are nightly affairs. You go at night, get a meal, sleep in a cot, then the next morning they kick you out for the day. Most have time limits of a week or so. You can go for 7 nights, but then they don't want to see you for a week or 2. This is no way to get back on your feet. You need a sanctuary where you know you have a bit of space and time to develop yourself. This is what these few Christian shelters offer. Barring that, most people who end up on the street are like a deer caught in a set of headlights. They don't know what to do. They will learn the way most people do, the hard way. The most important thing is your psychological headspace. Recognize that you're down and out, but believe in yourself. You still have untapped potential. You have the ability to work hard and think wise thoughts. It's not the circumstances you're in that count, it's what you do with them. You have to be strong enough to rise above the easy trap it is to fall into a depression and sink down so low that you give up and self-destruct. When you're on the street, you're often so down and out that it's hard to get a job, but you need a job to get out, so it's hard for the first little while, which is why I suggest you take the help a Christian shelter or a government jobs program offers. Look for small opportunities. They turn into bigger opportunities. Look for a part-time job. Help people. Get involved in religion, in activism, in the community. Street people are just like any group in society. There are good and bad in every bunch. There are probably more mentally ill people there and immature people who never grew up, but morally, there are good people and evil people. There are assholes and violent people. If an asshole is trying to make you disrespect him so that he has an excuse to start a fight, your best bet is to walk away. Avoid violence at all costs with unknowns. You never know when some angry punk is at his breaking point and you're the one who tips him over the edge. If you sense you must fight, be quick, be brutal and aggressive. Even if you lose, the other guy will respect you for being tough. Generally, the younger the person, the more foolhardy. If you disrespect an arrogant 17-year-old, he's got way more to prove to himself than an arrogant 32-year-old, so stay away from people under 22 years old. They're just too immature. The street people police themselves. If one guy is too out of hand, too violent, rapes the street girls, etc., the others will gang up on him and teach him a lesson. If you've got any dignity or pride and are a private person, don't expect to keep it out in the street. Everything happens out in public. There is no privacy. Expect to be humbled many times over, but don't let it keep you down. Plan your way to get out of it. You can make friends of other homeless people relatively easily, but it's transient friendship. Remember, you don't know who they really are unless you observe them over time to see how they act day by day. Don't probe other people about their background. Keep it superficial. If you come across an angry or otherwise bad street person, don't hang around with them. Stay away from them. There are also low-level con artists there too. They are not violent, just cons and thieves. If other street people know you're kind, meek, and a people pleaser, they will try to take advantage of you, but on the other hand, there will be people out there worse off than you that you'll feel sorry for and try to help, because there are some really lost people out there worse off than you. There are some homeless people who work regular jobs but can't afford apartments, so they stay out on the streets and once a week rent a hotel room to clean up. Some are artists who just can't work a regular job because it would violate their souls. They look healthy and are intelligent but would rather sleep in the streets and spend their days in their own thoughts rather than working a job. On the street, you have to worry about the basic things most people take for granted. Even if you find a corner in the park, chances are somebody will be by in 15 minutes or so to get in your face. You might be able to get on government assistance, often called welfare, but this is getting harder to do, especially if you're male and white. If you're able-bodied, they assume you can work, so they send you to the local employment agency to try to get rid of you. The law is always bugging you to move on, so don't loiter around commercial businesses. Almost everybody, except for the few true Christians, other street people and other people who've been there, treats you like scum. Your life is reduced to finding a good place to sleep, getting some food, washing yourself and not getting busted by the law for loitering. You have to find places to use the bathroom. You have to eat and clean yourself. You need clothes and shelter from the elements, and these are just the basics. Forget about studying a new skill or applying for a job until your headspace is more secure. Being homeless was a kick for me when I was 16 and along with two friends hitchhiked to Montreal, where we bummed around, stayed in hostels, worked odd jobs, got drunk, went to strip joints underage and otherwise had a good time. But now it's 30 years later, I'm long past that learning about life stage. I would never want to be there again, but some people my age get in these situations. A lot of divorced women go homeless. Don't make waves. Don't attract attention to yourself. Don't act defiant. Sure, you're angry, but so is everyone else. Keep it in check. Face this fact. There is no privacy on the streets in the city. Somebody owns virtually every piece of property, the government owns the rest, and they don't want people like you around. They're not out to get you. They just don't want you around. Other than that, you're a convenient scapegoat, because if the cops show up, you will always be the one getting arrested. Whenever you deal with the cops, be cooperative. Play along. If the cop tells you that you can't sleep in the park, say yes sir, then walk down the street, and when he leaves, re-enter the park. If you're defiant, you're infringing on their egos and you will lose every time. Most of the time, they just want you to move on to a different location. Loitering is illegal in some places. They will do warrant checks on you. The more you cooperate, the quicker you will be free to go on your way. Most cops aren't bad people. They're just middle-class guys and gals working a job. If someone complains about loiterers, they have to enforce it. The more you look like a clean person with average clothes on, the more you will blend in and the less people will hassle you. If you're homeless and look dirty, expect to be watched if you go into any store. Merchants expect poor, homeless people to steal things. You're bad for their business regardless. You look dirty. You drive their good customers away. They don't want you hanging around in front of their stores. If there is a homeless activist group or homeless support group in your area, join it for help and support. It's hard to read people anywhere. Trust the wrong person and you could get killed. Most street people are decent people going through a hard time, but there are dangerous, angry people out there. People read you by the vibe you give off. You have to look like you belong in the ghetto and give off a "I'm minding my own business, I don't want to know you, don't mess with me" vibe. It's a lot of stress living on the streets. You hardly ever get a good night's sleep because of the noise, the weather, and the people everywhere. It's tough enough surviving and trying to get back on your feet. Don't drag yourself down by getting into the street drug and booze scene with the other homeless people. The other street people are generally not ambitious, mentally strong, inspired people. If you want to drag yourself out, minimize contact with them. Be a loner. Work on your plans. Life in most big cities don't cheap. In order to rent an apartment, you need the first and last month's rent plus a security deposit. A lot of young people simply can't afford that. You need a very good job in a skilled occupation just to afford this. All the unskilled young people coming in from the country will have a hard go of it, at least at first. When you're down and out, work hard on making your own breaks and use whatever social services there are available to drag yourself out. Get a job, find God, do what they tell you to do at the Christian shelter. Just like with everything in life, it's all about attitude. You have to have an attitude of gratitude, keep your mouth shut and work hard. Don't be a negative downer. Survive homelessness. You need comfortable clothes, comfortable shoes, backpack or kit bag, sleeping bag and matting for under it, warm accessories like a hat, gloves, socks, a few good places to sleep, a few soup kitchens and food banks. There are many places to sleep like parks, apartment basements, parkades, alleyways, yards, stairwells, highway off-ramps, abandoned buildings, abandoned houses, couch surfing on friends' couches, the nearby forest, etc. What you're looking for is a place with a roof or a place where you can set up a few garbage bags for a roof that is either hidden or not easily accessible by the average person. Your prime concern is safety. The more isolated you are, the better. If you're in a park, look for an area with thick growth that's uncomfortable to walk through it and set up your campsite on the other side of it. The areas near freeways and highways are often great places to sleep. Hardly anyone ventures more than 50 feet into the woods on either side of them. If you find a good camping spot, don't litter around it. It will be a dead giveaway that somebody is there and could get you kicked out of the area. If you can't handle mosquitoes, get a tent. Expect to encounter foxes, skunks, raccoons, etc. From time to time if you sleep out in the woods. A loud scream should get rid of most. Keep a big stick by your bed and a few rocks in case it doesn't. If you're homeless and living up north, try to migrate south for the winter to stay warm. You can hop a freight train and take a free ride. Libraries are a good refuge during the day. If your stuff gets wet in the rain, dry it at the local laundromat. People scrounge for food near restaurant areas, bus stops, sports stadiums after concerts and games, and dumpsters behind restaurants, stores, and supermarkets. They don't dig very far into garbage cans, but if they see half a meal sitting in a bag on the top of a garbage can, they'll take it. In the summer, look around for restaurants with outdoor tables or areas where people go to sit and eat their lunches. They leave food on the tables and throw food out in the garbage cans. Some people walk into restaurants like McDonald's or Burger King, the cafeteria at the local college or bars that serve food, maybe buy something cheap, maybe not, sit down, pull a newspaper out while they look around the tables for uneaten food, then take it. Conventions at hotels sometimes have buffets. If you can blend in, you will get a free meal. Check out the dumpsters behind restaurants shortly after closing time. Try to travel as light as you can, all your possessions in one knapsack. If you have more stuff, try to stash them at a friend's house or in the woods. Go scrounging around the streets on garbage day and look for things you can sell to used bookstores and pawn shops or at flea markets. When the semester ends at the local college and the students are leaving either for Christmas or for the summer, walk around the dorm areas looking in the garbage cans and dorms for stuff to use or sell. Students in general are big wasters. Scrounge through their garbage for useful stuff. Rather than scrounge, try to develop a little paying gig like street musician, street artist, street vendor, busker, etc. People collect bottles for money. They call it recycling. Panhandling is hard if you have any self-respect. Working for peanuts is easier. Do your best to take care of your health. Since you're under stress, exposed to sickly people and generally run down, when you start to feel a part of your body getting sore, look at it, try to take care of it. Some YMCAs or college gyms might have showers that you can use, a few homeless shelters have them, but beyond that, look for out-of-the-way, little-used public bathrooms and use them during off hours to clean yourself and shave. Try to get a job as a janitor or maintenance man in an apartment building. At the very least, you'll be able to live somewhere in the basement. Panhandling info. e-panhandling.org. Travelers Aid Society. Many cities and airports have chapters of the Travelers Aid Society operating in them. Travelers Aid is a charity that helps travelers in tough situations caused by a loss of immediate cash for one reason or another, and poor people who move to a new area to get a fresh start. They generally don't give out cash but will point you in the direction of a homeless shelter and a food bank. Look for them in the yellow pages. Travelersaid.org. Travelersaid.ca, help for travelers in an emergency in Canada. Veteran assistance. For information about VA medical care or benefits, write, call or visit your nearest VA facility. Your telephone directory will list a VA medical center or regional office under U.S. Government, Department of Veterans Affairs, or under U.S. Government, Veterans Administration. You also may contact the offices listed below. Veterans get certain benefits like the Montgomery Bill, and they get preferential treatment for some jobs and business contracts with the government. There is the housing program which helps vets get a mortgage to buy a house. There is a funeral benefit that families of veterans receive, whereby the veteran can be buried at a national cemetery for free and the family could receive some money as well. There is the death pension, which is a payment by the government to the surviving spouse of a vet to raise his or her income to the level of the pension. There are even benefits for surviving children of vets who have either been killed in active duty or who have suffered injuries in active duty that later led to their deaths. dol.gov/dol/vets, veterans employment and training services. NASDVA.com, National Association of Veterans. tvc.state.tx.us/states.htm, state veterans offices. Vets.com. VNIS.com. Department of Veteran Affairs. 800-827-1000. VA.gov. For information about benefits. Veterans Benefits Administration. Department of Veterans Affairs. 810 Vermont Avenue, NW. Washington, D.C. 20420. 800-827-1000. 1000, 202-273-7004. Fax, 202-275-3591. va.gov. Welfare to Work Programs. deolata.gov/WTW. acf.dhs.gov/opre/meta_employ/meta_analysis/report/meta_analysis.pdf. careercc.com/shopmall/html/welfare_to_work.shtml. hungeractionist.org. urban.org/welfare/index.cfm. uso.org, United Service Organizations. welfareinfo.org. welfarereformer.org. welfaretowork.org. Welfare to Work Partnership. 1250 Connecticut Avenue, NW. Washington, D.C. 20036. 202-955-3005. Fax, 202-955-1087. welfaretowork.org. Down and out websites / desperate for help websites. help.com. helpguide.org. acf.hhs.gov/program/ofa/10f/about.html, temporary assistance for needy families, TANF. This U.S. Department of Health and Human Services webpage provides general information, history, goals, and organization of the TANF program. fns.usda.gov/snap, food stamps. This U.S. Department of Agriculture webpage explains the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, and how to apply for benefits. acf.hhs.gov/program/ofa/help, apply for temporary assistance for needy families, TANF. portal.hud.gov/hud portal/hud $?src=topics/rental_assistance, find housing. portal.hud.gov/hud portal/hud $?src=topics/homelessness/localassist, homeless. Find help. acf.hhs.gov/program/ofa/help, apply for temporary assistance for needy families, TANF, formerly known as welfare. benefits.gov, find government benefits and assistance. benefits.gov/benefits/browse-by-state, locate government assistance by state. freenlinehelp.blogspot.com. directrelief.org. 23helpme.com. easthill.org/resources/toughtimes.cfm. ehow.com, how to get through tough times. extension.ia state.edu/su/news/toughtimes.htm. extension.oregon-state.edu/emergency/tough_times.php, helps people find help in tough economic times. extension.uiuc.edu/ruralroute/toughtimes.html. toughtimes.unl.edu. American Association of Retired Persons. 601 E Street, NW. Washington, D.C. 20049. 202-434-2277. 888-687-2277. aarp.org. Catholic Charities USA. 66 Canal Center Plaza. Number 600. Alexandria, Virginia 22314. 703-549-1390. Fax, 703-549-1656. catholicharidisusa.org. Social services to people in need. Jewish Board of Family and Children's Services. 120 West 57th Street. NYC 10019. 212-5829-1100/888-523-2769. jbfcs.org. Programs, residential facilities, and day treatment centers. National Alliance for Hispanic Health. 1501 16th Street NW. Washington, D.C. 20036. 202-387-5000. HispanicHealth.org. Volunteers of America. 1660 Duke Street, Alexandria, Virginia 22314. 703-341-5000. Fax 703-341-7000. VOA.org. A major provider of professional long-term nursing care for seniors and others coping with illness or injury. Chapter 2. Where to get help. Find a homeless shelter. I know that the Salvation Army runs homeless shelters, salvationarmy.org, because there's one where I live. I don't know about redcross.org or unitedway.org, but you can try them too. Most good homeless shelters are Christian-run. National Volunteer Clearinghouse for the Homeless. 800 Help 664. HomelessShelterDirectory.org. eHow.com, how to find homeless shelters. HomelessShelterDirectory.org. hud.gov/homeless/hamelsagan.cfm. link4HOMELESS.hypermart.net/soup_kitchens.html. actsbwc.org/homeless_shelter.asp, action through service in Prince William County. artistshelpingchildren.org/shelters.html. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/find_shelter. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/homeless_shelter. hobokenshelter.org. homesforthehomeless.com, homeless mothers and children in NYC. ibiblio.org/rcip/women.html, women's homeless shelters. The best way to find a women's shelter is to call 211. local.com, local search engine. sdeshelter.org, 505-982-6611, large homeless shelter, Santa Fe, NM. wvdh.org/bcf/children_adult/homeless, West Virginia Bureau for Children and Families Homeless Services. Canadian Homeless. HomelessHub.ca. Hunger websites. Foodnotbombs.net. FeedingAmerica.org. PeanutButterPlan.org. usemayors.org/uscm/hungersurvey. WorldHunger.org. CFH.ca, Food for the Hungry. Chatfoodbank.org. EndHunger.org, 800-333-4597. FreedomFromHunger.org, FreeFromHunger.org. Heifer.org, Feed the Poor. HumaneFood.ca. ProjectBread.org, Feeds the Poor. ProjectMeal.org, Meals on Wheels. SecondHarvest.org, 800-771-2303, Food Bank locator on their website. Find food banks by state, city, and zip code. Strength.org, 800-969-4767. TheHungerSite.com. THP.org, The Hunger Project. WorldHungerYear.org. Feed the Children. POP 36. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73101. 800-627-4556. 800-367-2400. FeedTheChildren.org. Food for the Hungry. 7729 E Greenway, Scottsdale, Arizona 85260. 800-248-6437. FH.org. Poverty Info. NAPO-ONAP.ca, National Anti-Poverty Organization, NAPO, a non-governmental, non-partisan advocate organization of low-income Canadians and others concerned about issues affecting poor people. WorldBank.org/poverty, PovertyNet, World Bank, for people working to understand and alleviate poverty. 50years.org, Poverty. Acton.org/impact, real solutions to poverty turn goodwill into effective action. Christianaid.org.uk. Defeatpoverty.com. Makepovertyhistory.org. Povertytoopportunity.blogspot.com. povnet.org. Habitat.org.